Hello friends, in this video I will share with you 5 things that you should never say in an interview. Number 1 and the most important is never bad mouth your employer, your last employer or the employer you're currently working with, or your manager. People who are hiring you, they're hiring you in a company where they expect you to come and collaborate. If you start talking bad about the previous company or the previous employer, that may give an impression that you are not a good person in terms of collaboration. So you're not good at collaborating. Secondly, it may also be half of the story because they are just listening from you bad things about the employer and the manager, even if they were bad. But they're listening from you and they may be thinking that there might be other half of the story which they don't know. And since they don't know the other half of the story, it would be kind of a risk taking you or hiring you. At the end of the day, they don't want to hire someone who's the most intelligent guy. They want to hire someone who can come in the organization and work with others because you won't be working alone. You will be working with other folks around you. So they want to hire someone who's compatible. And if you go talking bad about the previous company or the previous manager, that may give signals that you're not compatible. And again, even if you are the smartest guy but you're not compatible, you are of no use because you will come in an organization. Despite you being the most intelligent and the most smart guy, you won't be able to work with the rest of the organization, and because of that, you are useless. So they would not want to hire someone who's not compatible. So make sure you always talk good about your previous employer, about your previous manager. Obviously, you'll have to explain why you're leaving them. And one reason that I usually propose that you should say is that your career or your growth has reached a peak in your previous employer or with your previous manager, and hence it is time for you to move and grow and develop. This gives a kind of a good sign because you're someone who's into growth and who's into development and is focused on themselves and is ambitious, and you're not bad mouthing the previous employer or the manager. Rather, you're saying it's just that there are no further levels in terms of maybe hierarchy or other things to learn in your previous organization because you've learned most of the things, you've had a lot of experience with them, and now you want to move on. Again, this could be just one example out of many others that you can give as to why you're leaving your previous employer. I made a separate video on this where I talk about how you should go about answering the question, why do you want this job? So go check it out. Now, one call out before we move further. In case you like the video, please don't shy away from pressing the like button as this keeps me motivated. Second, press the subscribe button as this notifies you as soon as I put a new content on this channel. On this channel, I post content pertaining to financial and career success for early and mid-career professionals. On top, in case you want me to continue making unbiased content, you can support me on patreon.com. I will leave the link here in the description of this video. Now let's get rolling back to the video. Second is not just showing desperation, but calling out desperation. That is, I really need this job. I'll do anything to get this job. Don't show that level of desperation. Again, it may give a sign that there is something wrong with regards to your history, that you're so desperate to get this job. You're not getting any other job in your current organization. You're not getting any other job outside your current organization. And there might be something that we as interviewers are missing about you, because no one else is hiring you, you're so desperate to come in this organization. Now do note, passion is good, but show passion to join the organization. Show passion for the role that you are interviewing for. But don't show desperation as if you're dying to get this role, and if you don't get this role, you will not survive, or you are ready to do anything to get this role. That all shows desperation. Passion is where you go about saying that I'm really passionate about this role or this job. This really motivates me, this keeps me engaged, and I enjoy this, and I'm so passionate about the organization you are, or the purpose your organization has, or what your organization is meant to deliver, or the objective it has, whatever is related to that organization. You can always talk about being passionate about the objectives or the vision or the mission of the organization, or the special elements in the role that really motivates you. But don't show desperation in terms of that you're ready to do anything. So don't say, I'm ready to do anything. Make sure it's all about your passion and it's all about the job. Number 3 is claiming that you've never made a mistake. There is a common question that is being asked with regards to understanding your self-awareness, whether you're aware of yourself, aware of your challenges, your weaknesses. So you cannot just go about saying, I've never made a mistake. So let's say if they ask you a question, have you ever failed? Or can you give me an example when you encountered failure? Don't say, no, I've never had failure. No, I've never done a mistake. Don't say that, because this is not human to say, or not human for you to not make mistakes. For anyone to be human, it is natural to make mistakes. It is just that you are not aware of that. So you need to make sure that you come across as someone who is aware of their weakness, of their mistakes. Again, for this, I've made a separate video for which I will leave the link above, where I talk about how you should go about answering a question around failure. Number 4 is saying, I don't know. So for instance, if you are asked a question, your response should never be, I don't know. There are two kinds of questions. One could be behavioral questions. So they ask about a certain experience that you've had in history where you've demonstrated a certain skill. Don't say, no, I've never had that experience. Make sure you bring about something which is either close to the experience or the question that they're asking. So much so that even if it's nothing that you can think of from your work experience, think of something from your professional life that you can bring in order to answer that particular question, or bring in to show the particular experience that they are looking for, or the kind of behavior or character they are looking for. So make sure you have some answer. And even when you don't have any experience either at work or in your profession, then you go about saying, I've not experienced this. However, I can tell you if such a situation comes up in my work, this is how I will handle it. So always have an answer. Never go without an answer. Similarly, if it's a hard skill, if they ask you whether you know how to operate this particular system and you've never used the system, don't just say, I don't know. Say, I've never used this particular system, or I don't have experience with this particular system. However, I've used a system which is similar to this, and I've learned it and I know this particular system. Or you can give an example of a time when you didn't know how to use a system altogether. However, you are a fast learner and you know how to go about learning fast and adapting to different systems or different technologies. So this is kind of a piece of cake for you. Even if you've not used it before, you can certainly learn it fast. So make sure you have an answer versus just saying, I don't know, or I have never experienced it. Again, especially for this, I made a video where I talk about how to handle a situation where you don't have an answer. So go do check out that video, because I explain how to handle this situation in detail. Number 5 is saying, I don't have any questions. This may come usually in response to the interviewer's question, which is, we have come to the end of the interview. Do you have any questions for me or for us if it's a panel interview? And you go like saying, no, I don't have any questions for you. Never, don't do that. In case you do that, it may show that either you've not prepared well, or you're not interested in the job because you're not interested in learning about the job or the role, or you're simply disengaged altogether. So this is all a bad sign. You always should have some questions that you would be asking the interviewer. And this should be rather the most easy part, because you know that they will ask this question, do you have any questions for us? So you can prepare this in advance. Rather, you can even write and put them in front of you. And when the interviewer gives you this opportunity, you can say, yes, I have a few questions and let me refer to my notes. So you don't even have to memorize them. You can always look down at the page where you've taken the notes and read from the notes exactly the questions that you want to ask. For this, I made a separate video where I talk about what kind of reverse interview questions you should be asking, especially if you are like desperate or passionate about this particular job and you really want this job. There are certain special kind of questions that you should be asking the interviewer. So go check out that video, because I list down some examples of the kind of questions you should be asking. Now here comes the bonus tip. When introducing yourself, don't go about throwing adjectives that I'm a fast learner, I'm a leader, or I'm friendly, I'm collaborative. You can't simply claim any adjective by just calling it. You have to give examples, or you have to talk about your experience where you've demonstrated these adjectives, because you cannot convince someone just by spelling out the adjectives. You really have to give examples from your past experience in order for you to demonstrate that you have delivered or demonstrated that particular character. So instead of just throwing adjectives as part of your introduction, you should rather share key highlights of your profession as part of your introduction. and maybe call out key projects that you've delivered which you think are very high achieving and you're really proud of them, and what did you achieve in those particular projects. So for instance, I led a team which was able to double the size of the business in 3 years. Or I was part of the project where I collaborated with global team and was able to optimize the cost of that particular project, and so on and so forth. So again, instead of just claiming, you need to introduce yourself in a way where you highlight these achievements, and these achievements for themselves will speak for that character or for that personality that you want to call out for yourself. Now again, for this I have a special video where I talk about how you should go about introducing yourself. So for that, check out this video because I explain in detail what are the elements that you should use in order to introduce yourself and how to prepare for this particular question. Thank you for watching this video. In case you like the video, I'm also sure you'll find another video very valuable on my channel where I talk about how you should go about writing a winning resume. Check that out here. Other than that, I have another video where I explain how you should go about acing behavioral interview questions. So check out the video here. Thank you.